Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo. We are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, I am joined by the man himself, the Hall of Famer, which will be our topic today. It's the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. What's going on, Ted?
Marcus, how are you, my friend?
Dude, I could not be better. Getting to sit down once a week with you and chit chat and kind of learn about wrestling in a way I've never heard before, man.
Makes you feel like $1 million, right?
Like $1 million. And dude, I cannot wait for this episode this week. You know, there's a lot of hype surrounding the WWE Hall of Fame inductees that have been selected so far for 2024. Yeah. So I thought that right now might be a good time for us to take a look back at your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And your involvement in other ceremonies over the years. So we're going to go through the history of it a bit. Guys, at the top of the show, I want to give you my reminder to get over to YouTube. It's youtube.com/@everybody's-got-a-pod. Ted and I are always adding new content, including YouTube exclusive videos that you won't get anywhere else. Also, as I've mentioned, that's our YouTube channel is the only place where you can listen to new episodes of Jim Duggan's podcast, The Hacksaw Hour. So the biggest stars of wrestling on one YouTube channel. That's right. So make sure you get over there, get subscribed right now so you don't miss any of that content. One more time, it's youtube.com/@everybody's-got-a-pod. Well, Ted, look, before we get into the ceremonies that you've been involved in here in the Hall of Fame, let's take a look at the inductees that have been announced for the 2024 class so far. I'd love to get your opinions on them. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, Ted. Before we talk about that, first, we've got to talk about Aura and the incredible service that they provide. Brother, I know that you, the $1 million man, a pop culture icon that you are, I'm sure that privacy for you is really important.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. Imperative.
Oh, man, you know, it's you've been famous now for, what, 40 years? Somewhere in there? It's been a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and protecting that is protecting that is protecting my family as well, which is much more important to me than me personally being protected.
And man, let me tell you, it's, you know, all it takes is one search of your name, Ted DiBiase, or I did it for myself, Marcus D'Angelo. And brother, I was a little bit surprised to see all of the results that came up, including where I went to high school, my phone number, where I live. Yeah, a lot of my personal information was out there just within arm's reach, and makes you a little bit uncomfortable because data brokers will sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. We're talking about full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there on the internet. A little bit unnerving, isn't it?
Yeah, let's do whatever we can to get that out of there.
Well, Ted, that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me the data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. You know, I started using this thing, Ted, and you can see how many data brokers are found selling your information. And let me say, seems like a lot of them had mine. So, boy, am I thankful for the product like Aura. You know, cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. Yeah, I'm telling you, technology is fantastic. You know, certainly it's we've made leaps and bounds as a society due to technology. But then there's this side of it where it's like, man, you know, you've really got to protect yourself. Yeah. And Aura does so much more than just protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up, and best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. So look, you may already have one or two of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on doing hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. Ted, like you, I value my privacy, and I value the privacy of our listeners.
In the $1 Million Man's words, that security is priceless.
It's time, guys. Stop wasting time. Stop putting yourself at risk. Go to ara.com/EGAP to start your 2-week free trial, which is also linked below in the description. That's ara.com/EGAP. Go and take advantage of this offer for them right now and give yourself and your family some peace of mind. The first one is one that I'm really not sure whether or not you've spent very much time around. Bull Nakano is being honored this year, and she is best remembered by WWE fans for her rivalry with Medusa, Alundra Blaze in the mid-90s, her reigns as women's champion, and her very unique hairstyle. Ted, did you get much time or interaction with Bull Nakano?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he's Japanese and from Japan.
Yep, and from Japan.
Oh, there's a big difference.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, because, you know, if you're raised over there and you're raised and you're brought up in wrestling, everybody pays their dues over there. I mean, you know, there's no easy way in or easy way out. And, you know, it's kind of like, like the guys, you know, like I used to watch the young boys doing their Hindu squats and all that stuff. And, you know, it's not like, oh yeah, you know, you get in the ring a couple of times and oh yeah, we'll try you out there. No, they made you want it, basically. And you know, the way you prove you really want it is to, you know, it's almost like joining the Navy or the Army or the Marines.
But yeah, no, Bull Nakano, man, she paid her dues. Glad to see that she's getting the honor there in the Hall of Fame. The next one I want to ask you about is Paul Heyman, largely considered the best manager of all time and for his contributions as owner of ECW. Ted, any comment on the induction of Paul Heyman?
You know, I know Paul when I see him and I say hello, you know, and he's a friendly enough guy. But I never worked for him. I never worked under him. And really our paths never, you know, it's like when I was there, even after I finished wrestling and Vince had me back as a manager commentator, I you know, I was, but, you know, again, I think as a manager, he's done a hell of a job. I mean, I don't know. What's everybody else think?
Oh yeah, no, everybody's excited about Paul going in, and yeah, I think a lot of people are surprised that, you know, he's still an active manager for Roman Reigns. So I think a lot of people are surprised, like, oh, it's, you know, we would think that he would get the honor after his career, you know, but hey, no, it's, look, if anybody's deserving, it's that guy, man. Between ECW and what he's done as a manager, man, what a legacy.
Yeah.
Well, Ted, the celebrity induction this year is a big one. The greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. He's remembered for his match with Antonio Inoki, a quick stop at Mid-South, his appearance at WrestleMania, WCW, and more. Ted, what do you think about Muhammad Ali going into the WWE Hall of Fame?
I think it's great. You know, I mean, you know, obviously he was never, you know, a wrestler per se, but his willingness to come along into our business and do something, I thought was, you know, I thought that was great. I mean, you know, like, you know, you're one of the greatest boxers of all time. You know, that would be like, you know, I wonder if, you know, I've never heard of anybody in boxing offering a wrestler an opportunity to box. And that brings up another question, you know, like, is all of boxing real? And I would say, no, it's not.
Man, there have certainly been instances over the years, you know, especially back in the day when like the mob was around, like, you know, some guys would get offers that couldn't refuse, so to speak, and they'd have to throw a fight. So yeah, it's, I mean, there's some carny there.
I don't believe during the Muhammad's reign, I don't think any of that stuff is going on with that.
Well, I don't know. You know, there's rumor has it that a really iconic picture of Muhammad Ali's got his fist and he's yelling at a downed opponent, which was Sonny Liston. He's standing over him and he's yelling because he knew that he barely touched Liston and Liston went down. So he's yelling at Liston to get back up because he knows he's trying to throw the fight. That's the rumor. I don't know. I don't need
I
the
don't
law coming
either.
after me, Ted.
And and I had an opportunity to meet him.
In Mid South.
No, after he went to WWE.
I don't know if you were on the card or not. I've got to look this up, but he did come to Mid South in June 1985, and it was in the Superdome. And Jake was there, and Jake was involved with Muhammad Ali. Have you ever heard this story?
I think I was there. I think that's where I met him.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like you would have been on the card because it's a really big show, and you were a big star in the territory. And just to jog your memory, what happened was he was involved with Jake and the Snowman. Jake was having a match with the Snowman, and Muhammad Ali was on the outside of the ring. Jake is the heel, of course. Muhammad gets up on the apron when Jake is like cheating and punches Jake. Jake does not want to go down for Muhammad Ali. So Jake takes the shot from Muhammad Ali and stumbles, comes back, feeds him again, takes another one. I think Muhammad punched him 3 times. Jake stayed on his feet. And what's funny is John Nord was there too. Muhammad Ali punched John Nord and he just went down on the first punch. So Jake gets back to the locker room and Bill Watts is like, why didn't you go down? That's Muhammad Ali. Why didn't you go down for Muhammad Ali? And Jake was like, because he's gone tomorrow and I'm still working here. Which is just classic Jake, isn't it?
That's classic Jake. Yeah, that's
Is that whole thing ringing any bells?
And I, Jake and I are great friends. That's one move. When you got somebody that's got that much savvy and reputation, and he's willing to bring his reputation into your business and help your organization fill an arena so you can make some money. Take the fucking bump. Excuse me.
No, it's okay. It's just funny because you and Jake, you guys align so often in your views, but I was like, I wonder how Ted would feel, but because I know that you would have taken a bump.
I would have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is funny though that Jake was like, nope, not doing it. I still have to work here tomorrow. But yeah, so you think that would have been the time that you met Muhammad Ali is in the Silver
think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There's a great picture of him with Jim Duggan backstage, and Jim's got an eye patch on because Skandar Akbar burned his face or whatever. So I'm wondering if you've got a picture somewhere of you with the greatest of all time.
Hold the show.
Oh man, this could be big.
Man, am I glad I remembered this. I had forgotten all about it.
No way.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hold on, I'm making you full screen. There it is. You and Muhammad Ali. Wow. All right. So that does not look like Mid-South. I'm trying to pick out what era that is. That's got to be you in WCW.
Well, just not sure. I mean, it's
either way. I mean, you met Muhammad Ali. That is incredible, man. What a photo to have. You and a now fellow WWE Hall of Famer, Muhammad Ali. How about that? All right, let's keep talking about these inductees. Just today, Ted, we got word that Thunderbolt Patterson is getting inducted too. Ted, did you ever have any time around Thunderbolt?
Not really. I didn't. Didn't know him very well at all.
If you would have been around him, it would have been on fairly rare occasions.
I mean, I wonder if he came through the Amarillo.
I'm sure that you cross paths with him here and there, as you will, back in the day during the territories when guys are kind of bouncing around. So, yeah, look, it's a guy with a hell of a legacy. So, he certainly belongs.
Yeah, never heard anything bad about the guy. Yeah, good guy.
So the one I think most fans are excited to hear you talk about is the induction of your friends Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda as the U.S. Express. Ted, let's start out with Barry. What can you tell us about your experiences around Barry Windham?
It's crazy. I've known Barry for a long, long time, but for whatever reason, Barry and I just never were at the same place at the same time. But I do know that, he spent a lot of time as my future tag team partner's partner. And, I hope you guys know who Barry Windham's daddy was.
One of the baddest men in wrestling.
Blackjack Mulligan.
Man, Blackjack he's got a crazy legacy, and I can't tell you how many stories I've heard about that guy, and what a tough SOB he was.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But Barry Windham, I mean, he's one of those guys, like, it took after his dad and maybe became a better in-ring worker. Did you get to see a lot of his in-ring stuff?
Not a whole lot.
I think that you and Barry would cross paths very briefly in the WWF. He would come in as like the Widowmaker in a gimmick that really just did not work. And then that was about it. That would have been 1989. So I think that that's the only time the two of you were in the same territory. So I'm not surprised you didn't get to see a lot of his stuff. But man, it's most guys sing his praises that watch him and say he was just a natural worker.
Yeah, he was.
Mike Rotunda is the big one that I know a lot of fans want to hear you talk about. Of course, he lost his son, Bray Wyatt, back in August, so it's wonderful to see him receive an honor like this. Ted, what can you tell us about your thoughts when you heard the news that Mike is joining you in the Hall of Fame?
I thought it was, well, my thoughts were, it's about time.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't mention any names, but I can. There's several names that cross my path that have already been inducted, and I'm going, they inducted them before Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of throw my hands up in the air. But and I guess I don't know. I don't know that there was any time that Mike was revered for his as like, it was always a tag team. It was, him and Barry. And then it was him and me, Money Inc. And so I never really got to see them wrestle as a team, but I heard from a lot of guys that they were one hell of a team.
Oh yeah, I mean, both great in-ring workers. I mean, awesome chemistry. So really cool to see, two great performers get this honor. It is a little odd though. I'm curious, would you have preferred to have seen Mike go in as IRS as opposed to Mike Rotunda of the US Express?
I didn't know Mike. I'll be honest, I didn't know Mike at all until he came to the WWE and Vince got us together and said, here's what I want to do. But the reality is, I mean, I think that our work together bears witness to the fact that, we made a hell of a team and did well together. So, and I didn't know him until then, and that's kind of like, it's kind of like, and I never knew that Blackjack Mulligan's real name was Wyndham. So I meet Barry Windham. I didn't even know I was meeting Blackjack Mulligan's kid at first. So it's kind of crazy.
It is. And man, it's just, regardless of how Mike Rotunda is going in, I'm glad he's going into the Hall of Fame,
yeah.
Man. Such a
Overdue.
But
overdue.
Ted, I know a lot of fans are going to ask, so I'll ask you right now. Do you think you'll be attending the ceremony this year or too busy?
Me personally?
Yes, sir.
You know what? If I can, I think I will. I mean, I'd like to be there for Mike for sure.
Well, 30 years ago in 1994, we'd get the first actual WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, and there would be 3 of them from 1994 to 1996 before the WWE would stop the ceremony altogether for a while. Ted, there's some footage floating around out there of you in attendance at these early Hall of Fame ceremonies. They took place in banquet halls. Do you have any memory of going to these?
Yeah. Oh, I do.
Well, what did you think of those early ones? Because they're very different than what we get nowadays.
Yeah, well, it was what it was. It wasn't, it wasn't. They didn't. I don't know. They didn't really make a big deal out of it, but eventually they made a bigger deal out of it. I mean, I remember having like they would do the Hall of Fame like the night before Mania.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, the Hall of Fame induction was done the night before, and I guess now they have a 2-day show. It's all wrestling Saturday night and all wrestling Sunday night, right?
Right. It's the WrestleMania is now 2 nights, so they can really kind of squeeze every drop out of the big event. So yeah, it's I mean the format has certainly changed, and man, it's you're going from a banquet hall now into like, I think this year it's happening in Wells Fargo Arena where the 76ers play. So like pretty incredible the way that even something like the Hall of Fame has grown.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, the Hall of Fame ceremonies wouldn't resume until 2004, which also marked the first celebrity induction, that being Pete Rose. Other celebrities will include William Perry, Bob Euchre, who is in your class, Drew Carey, Mike Tyson, Donald Trump, Mr. T, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Snoop Dogg, Kid Rock, William Shatner, Ozzy Osbourne, Andy Kaufman, and now Muhammad Ali. Dad, overall, what do you think of the concept of including celebrities in a wrestling Hall of Fame?
I think it's a novelty, is what I think it is, and I think um, each one of those guys at some point in time had contributed, had been a part of our show. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
In some way, and so I think it's just a tip of the hat to them for taking the time to be a part of a wrestling show.
And it's cool. And look, I mean, you wanna make wrestling mainstream. That's been the formula for Vince all along. The first WrestleMania had like Liberace and Muhammad Ali involved, Mr. T. So it's like I certainly understand the concept. I do also understand the other
Cyndi
side of it.
Lauper,
Yeah, Cyndi Lauper.
yeah,
So I do also understand the other side of it, where fans look at that and they say, like, "Hey, wait a minute! Like Bobby Eaton, journeyman wrestler and a guy who's really well established and well loved, he's not in the Hall of Fame, and you're putting Kid Rock in there." So I think a lot of fans get upset
yeah,
over that, but at the same time, it's marketing, right?
yeah. And unfortunately, I think that's more of what it's about. It's the marketing, and it's selling tickets. You know, that's the deal. You're selling tickets. So you get a crossover. So I don't know. I don't know. When I really think about it, it's kind of like, if you contributed really something that's significant to our business, well, that I can understand that. But when it gets right down to it, I do believe that. But again, wrestling is show business, and but when you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, you're not being inducted because you had like a 60-0 record or whatever. I mean, oh my gosh, if you tried to count up all the wrestling matches I had in my career, oh my gosh, it's like there's 360 days in the year, and I guess I can assure you that I wrestled 300 of those days every year.
Yep, at a minimum.
At a minimum, and but it's more about the body of work that these people did, and so I can see where some fans could go say, what are you doing putting a baseball player in the Hall of Fame? I don't know.
In 2006, you'll take the Hall of Fame stage, but not as an inductee yourself. Instead, you'll be there to induct sensational Sherri. Ted, the fact that you had this opportunity with Sherri is really awesome. I mean, she was so well loved by so many people, managed so many talents over the years, yourself included, that it must have really meant a lot to you to get this spot, right?
It really did, and because Sherri was, I mean, she kind of in some ways reminded me of my own mother. A lot of the fans know, of course, if you're a diehard fan, you look all this stuff up, but a lot of fans know that my father was a wrestler. But what a lot of the fans know is that my mother was also a professional wrestler. Her wrestling name was Helen Hild. And I think that's how she met Mike DiBiase. And they fell in love and they got married. So that's what I tell everybody. I said, hey, when I was a little kid, I didn't get in any trouble. And both my parents were pro wrestlers. Oh, gosh. But Sherri's tenacity, I mean, she she could do anything the guys could do, and didn't wasn't shy about showing you. I mean, sweet girl, but I mean, what I guess what I'm trying to say is as sweet as she was tough as nails, and you have to be in this business, and to come up in this business like she did in it, you know. And so when she was my manager, she was great. I mean, it was kind of like she was so, I guess, anxious to do good. I would have to slow her down. It's kind of like, so because she managed me. Sometimes I said, Sherri, sometimes less is more. Don't jump up on the apron just every time. She says, we have to pick our spots, and it'll be more meaningful, if you know what I'm trying to talk about, if we just do it one time and get away with it.
Mm.
And so it was hard for her to get that, but I mean, it's kind of like you never had to worry about her being there. She was there, and she, and like I said, she was as tough as a lot of the guys, and if anybody got out of hand with her, she'd let her know it. She'd let them know it.
Fearless. And to your point, I mean, she came up tough in wrestling based on all the
Yeah.
stories that we've heard. I mean, even before she got into wrestling, I know she had a tough life. And here, I
Yeah.
mean, she built this Hall of Fame legacy for herself. Jake told me recently that he knew Sherri back before he was even a wrestler, back when he was a referee. When did you first cross paths with her?
About the same time, because I was in Mid-South, and and again, that's where I met Jake. And when he was, he was still young, and he started as referee. When he started as referee, I was, I had already started wrestling. I started in the summer of '75. I remember I told you it was like, I still had a year of college and I didn't go back. And then I think I met Jake down in Baton Rouge, and I think that's where he and I first met.
Yeah.
And pretty soon he's put on the tights, and here we go.
And so Sherri would have been down there at that time, and that's when you would have
Yep.
probably crossed paths with her.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And when do you recall being approached about doing the induction? Did Sherri call you, or how did that go? Do you remember?
Yeah, she asked me to induct her.
Wow.
And I said, sweetheart, I would be happy to.
Man, again, this is a woman who's got this huge legacy in wrestling and is loved by so many people. And I mean, it really speaks volumes about what she thought about you for her to select you for this spot.
Well, and, it's kind of like, Sherri was great. And, it's kind of like, she was more like one of the guys, you know what I'm saying? She was tough, but she could still be a lady.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't think that most of the guys didn't treat her like a lady. They wanted to treat her just like one of the guys.
Man, such a great talent. And we're going to jump ahead a couple of years here before we get to your Hall of Fame induction, because you're going to be the presenter for your longtime friend and the man that shares our YouTube channel, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We've talked about Jim a lot here on the show, and we are far from done. But for right now, I just want to know, what do you remember about being approached to induct your good buddy Jim?
Oh gosh, again, nothing could have been better. I mean, Jim and I hit it off from the get-go, and Jim's always been a great guy. Always a great guy, and we just had so many, and we had a lot of fun stories and a lot of funny stories. And we went. This is back when wrestling was still, you drive your car you're on the road every day. You're in a motel every night, and we did a lot of that together. And I remember he decided, when he and Deborah met and got married, they had a place in Alexandria, which is, Alexandria is like probably right in the middle of Louisiana. and realistically, in terms of the trips we had to make, it was probably a better place to be in terms of your being able to, like it's only so, like instead of living in Shreveport or Jackson, like Jackson's way out of the way. I mean, like it's 200 miles from Jackson to New Orleans. Well, from Alexandria, it's only 100 miles or 150 miles. If I had to go to Houston, oh my gosh, I'd have to go through Alexandria if I was going to go that way. But anyway, that's why he chose to live in Alexandria. But Jim's just, I mean, he's as tough as they come, buddy. Nice guy, but oh gosh, don't let the nice guy fool you. I remember there's one guy that rubbed him raw and ended up paying for it. And I think you know who I'm talking about.
Matt Bourne.
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely. So
yeah, Jim.
And,
go ahead.
I didn't, and I didn't care for Bourne either. I never had any problems with him, but I was all on Jim's side about that.
Jim is a New York State wrestling champion when he was in high school. That man, just not a guy to mess around with. He's big and he knows how to stretch you, man. Maybe.
Well, and got drafted into the National Football League. He didn't stay, but I mean, how many guys that even get now that they don't all make it, but he got drafted.
Oh, you have to be a freak athlete to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, you're right. He didn't have a long career there, but he made it there. So I mean, it's incredible. Well, you and Jim are going to work together a lot over your careers. Any particular moment or match stand out most for you when it comes to Jim Duggan?
Jim and I, we had some matches, and I can't even remember where it was now. But we've been working, and of course we've been cutting ourselves with the razor blade, and I can't remember what town it was. It's like we looked in the mirror, and it's like we both looked at like we had just come out of a Civil War battle. It's like we got our heads taped up. You got a patch on this side, another one on this side, and that was back when that red turned green, and we were gigging every night.
Man,
and that's what was funny. It was like Jim was, for as tough of the guys he was, I take that little bit of a razor blade and cut his head. It was like, come on, Jim. And so we had a match, and we did a deal where I run his head into the ring post outside, and he gets the juice with the little blade.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do the spot, and he does it, and he says, "How's that?" I said, "No, a little more." And so he gets a little more. He said, "How's that?" Like 3 different times. I said, "No, a little more." Get a little more. And finally, he looked at me and went, "Hey, are you ever going to say it's enough?" I said, no. He looked like he had a train wreck.
I know that you say you never rib anybody, but that's a great rib.
That's a great rib. Yeah. Just a little more, buddy. Just a little more.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I've heard Jim talk about that. And he always says, like, the next thing I knew, I looked down and blood's all the way down to my ankles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
But in a real fight, you wouldn't want anybody better to be on your side.
Man, yeah, that's a guy you won't walking down a dark alley with you. He's a tough man.
Absolutely.
To this day, ask that home intruder that decided to come to his house. Okay, let's take a minute to discuss our fantastic sponsor that is changing the lives of men everywhere. Of course, we are talking about Blue Chew. Are you ready to perform with the confidence of the $1 million man in the bedroom? Are you ready to leave your partner feeling like $1 million? Are you ready to get that thing so hard you could go hunting with it? If the answer to all those questions is yes, it's time for you to give Blue Chew a try. Blue Chew can help increase your performance and regain that old confidence where it counts the very most. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so that you can plan ahead or be ready when that opportunity springs up. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part of it, it's all done online. You can forget about those visits to the doctor's office, no more weird, awkward, uncomfortable conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy anymore. It comes right to you. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. But you know the drill, guys. There's not going to be anything discreet about your package. Men everywhere have never been more excited to see their mail carrier arrive, because when your package arrives, your package arrives. Listen, I know what your next question is. Will it actually work? Why don't you try it for free and find out for yourself? Something free from the $1 million man? That's right. You can try it right now for free. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping. That's it. Place your order now and give your partner a very pleasant surprise. Women are attracted to confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you confidence where it counts. Don't wait any longer. Time to chew it and do it. Take advantage of our special deal. Again, you can try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code EGAP at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code EGAP, and receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring Everybody's Got a Pod. Let's get on to your Hall of Fame induction. You're going to receive the honor in 2010. What can you tell us about that moment when your phone rings and you get the news that you're going into the Hall of Fame?
Well, it was one of those minutes where after I hung up, and I just kind of smiled, and it made me pause and remember, not only the body of work that I did in the WWF or E, but just my whole life. And what's funny is after the WWE Hall of Fame introduction, there's just a Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's not as big, obviously. It's not as, it doesn't get the coverage that, WWE Hall of Fame gets, but nonetheless, it exists. And I also got inducted into that Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So that was pretty good. But yeah, to be, to be recognized by your peers is great, so.
Ted, your Hall of Fame ceremony is going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. And after growing up in Wilcox, Arizona, this had to feel like a real full circle moment for you, didn't it?
It really did. And I don't know, I never bothered to ask anybody why they why they chose that particular WrestleMania to do this. But I mean, some of my family members, like my cousins, and of course that's been a while back now. Some of my aunts and uncles were still alive, and my my older brother who lives in Tucson. They made the trip up, and so yeah, it was pretty heartwarming that it was there in Arizona. Yeah, it was special. Made it special.
So some of your family's going to get to be there, and most importantly, your sons are going to be the ones who induct you into the Hall of Fame. Ted Jr. and Brett. Man, I mean, having your sons share that stage with you, it's got to be the most incredible feeling in the world.
It was. It really was. And of course, at that time, both of them had visions of, getting in the business. And of course, being a wrestler is not what I wanted for my boys. Not because I don't love it. It was more about the lifestyle that goes along with the job. But I will even have to say now, a lot of the things that I didn't like back then are now no longer true. And I mean, it's kind of like they're not working three straight weeks without a day off anymore. They're doing, I think they do 10 days on and 3 days off. Then they do 4 days on and 3 days off. I don't know if they still do that. It could be that they just wrestle weekends. I honestly don't know.
Pretty good gig nowadays, and you can see why these guys are wrestling into their late 40s or even their early 50s, because they are taking a quarter of the bumps that you guys were taking along the way.
Oh gosh, maybe not even that much.
Incredible. And look, Ted, we couldn't let this episode go by without at least one clip. Here's something that really stood out to me from your speech that I watched. It's a moment when you offer some advice to the young stars of WWE.
A lot of other guys sitting right here that went down that road with me. Arn Anderson, Ricky Steamboat, Steve Kern. Guys, I'm thankful to all of you. And to you, the new, young superstars in the WWE, let me share this with you. Some words that my father shared with me and that I've passed on to my boys. My dad told me this. He said, son, if you're willing to work hard, persevere, and pay the price, you can be anything you want to be in life. And don't ever go after anything that you are not passionate about. And you cannot make it in the WWE without being passionate about what you're doing. So I say to you, the new stars of the WWE, be passionate about what you do. Persevere, work hard, and live your life with integrity. It's not always the greatest talented person that gets the job. It's the guy that's the most dependable and that has the biggest heart.
Dad, I thought that was really well put, really well done, and I mean, timeless advice for you to offer to some of these young guys in wrestling, right?
Yeah, well, and I just passed down seriously, like it's things that my dad had, and I lost my dad when I was 15. And I remember that. And he told me exactly the same thing that I just spoke to all those guys. You can be whatever you be if your heart's in it and you're willing to pay the price. So.
And you did a lot of hard miles over the years, and it all led you on that path to, that stage in that incredible moment in front of that massive audience, man. What a great moment. Ted, I noticed that you weren't holding a piece of paper. I watched the whole thing. You didn't come out with a piece of paper. That was all coming just directly from you.
That was straight from my heart.
You did a 10-minute speech, which is, that's a long time to be up there just standing and talking. And it was an excellent, flawless speech. It's available online. I hope that our listeners will go and seek it out and find it. Ted, we're almost wrapped up. What can you tell us about receiving that Hall of Fame ring and that plaque? And where do you have them now?
Well, the ring is one that I wear occasionally, and it's not too far from, I'm actually behind this thing is the other part of my bedroom. And, I have, and my, our closet is so big that there's actually a dresser drawers in there. And, right up on top in a little box is my Hall of Fame ring. And every now and then I take it out, for special occasions. And, that plaque is, on a wall here in the home somewhere, actually in my office. And, those were all the things that I prayed for, worked for. It's kind of like, and my parents before me. The way wrestling was in the 50s and the 60s, Yeah, it was a very hard life. I mean, moving from, I went to grade school in like 6 different places. Or Amarillo, Oregon, Houston, back to Amarillo, back to Omaha, back to Amarillo, and back to Omaha. And
It's
then
like being a military kid.
I finished high school in Arizona after my father died.
It's almost like being a military kid, and then
Yeah,
you yourself join the military, and you're the one who's traveling and
yeah,
moving around. And
yeah.
man, a lot of miles, millions of miles, I would guess, over the course of your life, and just
Yeah,
incredible.
that's what I do is I laugh and I tell people that all the time. I said, listen, if I'd been paid by the mile, I'd be the multi-million-dollar man.
Well, Ted, I can't thank you enough for looking back on that incredible moment where you got honored in the Hall of Fame, and it's fun to take a look at what's coming up for the WWE Hall of Fame and the other names that are getting honored. There are a few that I have on my list and would love to see get honored, but well, we'll see. I know that as we're recording this, there's probably at least another couple of people about to go in, so we'll discuss them as the show goes along. But that's going to wrap us up for this week. Next week, we are back in action with something I know the listeners look forward to. It's Ask Ted Anything. I will put a post on social media and on YouTube. So please make sure that you bring your best questions for the $1 Million Man himself next week. Catch Ted on all social media platforms at MDM Ted DiBiase. Follow the podcast on all platforms at Ted DiBiase Pod. You can follow me and drop your questions for the show on my X account, which is Marcus P. D'Angelo. Dad, thank you again for talking to me about this incredible moment. That was 14 years ago you got inducted this month.
Wow. Wow. Well, you just forgot one thing, Marcus.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
See you guys next time right here on Everybody's Got a Pod.